So I want you to imagine a new kind of global conflict for a second.
Oh, we're jumping right in today.
We are. Because, usually when we think of global conflict, we think of wars fought over land,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe battles over oil.
Yeah, the traditional geopolitical resources.
Exactly. But this is different. Imagine a war fought over the totally invisible architecture of artificial intelligence.
Right, the cloud.
Yes. But also, and this is the wild part, over the very specific physical rocks in the earth that you actually need to build that invisible architecture.
It's a huge paradigm shift.
It really is. And the reason we are talking about this today is because we got our hands on some incredible source material.
Oh, this leak is wild.
It is. We are looking at an exclusive internal U.S. State Department draft letter. This was obtained by Reuters recently, dated around mid-August.
And this isn't just standard diplomatic fluff.
No, not at all. This is basically a raw, unvarnished ultimatum. The U.S. is essentially forcing dozens of countries to choose sides in the global AI race.
Yeah, it's literally ending the global free market for tech.
Which is just staggering. So our mission for this deep dive is to, figure out why this is happening right now.
Right, we need to look at what happens if a country doesn't sign on the dotted line.
Exactly. We're going to analyze how this specific ultimatum impacts the global control over critical mineral resources.
The dirt.
The dirt, right. And we'll examine the real-world countries that are literally caught in the crossfire of this mandate.
Because there are massive economies trapped in the middle of this.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have two heavyweights in this fight, right? The U.S. and China. Let's start with the U.S. side of the board.
Yeah, so to understand this drafted ultimatum, you have to look at the framework Washington already set up last year.
Right, the Pax Silica initiative.
Yes, Pax Silica, which, by the way, is just an incredibly ambitious name.
It really is. I mean, you hear that and it sounds like Pax Romana or Pax Americana, right?
Exactly. It invokes this idea of a global stabilizing order maintained by a dominant empire.
But instead of military might, or like a massive naval fleet, the power here is silicon.
Silicon and supply chains. That's the core of Pax Silica. It's a US-led initiative aimed at completely securing the supply chains for AI models.
And not just the models, right? The advanced semiconductors too.
Right. The chips that train the models, and crucially, the critical minerals you need to actually physically manufacture those chips.
So they want to control the whole vertical stack.
Exactly. From the dirt in the mine to the algorithm in the data center.
But you can't just announce a club and expect everyone to join. There have to be perks.
Oh, there are massive perks. If you join Pax Silica, your country gets access to shared investment opportunities in cutting-edge AI.
You get brought into the trusted economic loop.
Yeah, it's a very lucrative club to be in, and the U.S. actually had a huge diplomatic win with this back in June.
Right, the AI Opportunity Statement.
Yes, 35 different countries signed this statement in June.
35 countries, that's a massive coalition.
It is. And the document basically declared a common purpose and a shared vision with the United States regarding the future of AI.
I mean, sure, it was a symbolic agreement, but in international relations, symbols matter.
Oh, totally. Symbols are the currency you use to buy actual, tangible cooperation later on.
But the ink was basically barely dry on that U.S. statement when Beijing made their move.
Right. China didn't just sit back and watch.
No, in July, Chinese President Xi Jinping launched a rival initiative.
The World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization.
Exactly. And this wasn't just some subtle alternative, It was a direct, head-on challenge to U.S. influence.
And the sales pitch Beijing is using is really fascinating.
Yeah, they're heavily promoting China's open-weight technology.
Right. And we should probably pause here and explain what open weight actually means, because it's not just tech jargon.
No, it's like a massive geopolitical wedge.
Yeah. So when a developer builds a large language model, which is just a massive artificial brain, they feed it millions of gigabytes of data.
To teach it patterns.
Right. And as the AI learns those patterns, it forms connections. Those actual learned connections, the parameters that make the AI smart, are called the weights.
And historically, the U.S. approach, especially with the big commercial models, is to keep those weights totally locked down.
Locked in a vault. You never get to see them.
Right, like if you want to use a leading American AI, you don't get to download the brain to your own laptop.
Exactly. You just rent access to it, you send a question to an American server, it thinks about it, and it sends the answer back to your screen.
Which means the U.S. developer has total control.
Absolute control. They can censor what the AI says, they can alter it, or they can just cut off your country's access completely.
Right. But China's pitch with their open weight tech is the total opposite of that.
Yeah, they are basically going to the global south and saying, hey, we won't treat you like a customer renting a black box.
We'll give you the actual weights.
Exactly. You can download our smartest models, put them on your own servers, tweak them, and totally own them.
Which, I mean, if you were a developing nation, that is an incredibly seductive pitch.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody wants to be permanently dependent on Silicon Valley for their infrastructure.
But, and I love this detail from the source material, there is a massive contradiction in Beijing's strategy here.
Yeah, a huge double standard.
Right, because they are pitching this open, collaborative tech utopia to the world, but internally.
Internally, Beijing is weighing severe restrictions on overseas access to its own leading models.
Which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
They are offering open models while simultaneously locking down their top-tier stuff.
Because of their national security agenda, the Chinese government relies on absolute information control.
Right.
And the idea of giving the public the uncensored, modifiable weights of their smartest AI models, it terrifies them.
Because someone could just tweak the open weight model to bypass the state censorship filters.
Exactly. So Beijing is in this weird friction state. They desperately want to export open AI to undercut the US.
But they are pathologically afraid of actually losing control of the technology.
Right. It's like, it reminds me of two rival country clubs, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like, joining one isn't just about getting access to the golf course or the perks.
It's about signaling your loyalty to the club president.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And up until recently, countries were kind of just mingling at both clubs.
Yeah, hedging their bets. But what is driving the sudden rush? Why are both sides aggressively demanding loyalty right now?
What's fascinating here is the sheer speed of the technology itself.
Yeah.
The Reuters report points out that AI capabilities are growing exponentially.
Right, it's not just moving fast, it's accelerating.
And specifically, the sources cite this terrifying new capability. AI is crossing a threshold where it can hack autonomously.
Autonomous hacking, that sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, but it's becoming real. Historically, cyber warfare was slow.
You needed a room full of human hackers.
Exactly. A team of engineers has to probe a network, find a tiny vulnerability, custom write a piece of malware, and deploy it.
It takes months.
Right. But an autonomous AI, it removes the human bottleneck entirely.
Because it can do the whole kill chain by itself.
Yeah. You just give it a prompt like, hey, breach that foreign power grid.
And it scans the entire architecture in seconds.
It finds zero-day vulnerabilities no human has ever seen, writes the exploit code, and attacks.
And if it gets blocked by a firewall, it just rewrites its own code and tries again instantly.
Tireless, infinite scaling.
That is just, that is a chilling concept.
It really is. It forces a total global reckoning. AI is no longer just a fancy tech tool for writing emails.
Right, it is a weapon.
A weapon of sheer economic and military dominance.
Which completely explains the urgency of this leaked diplomatic letter.
Yes, the stakes are just too high now to let allies play both sides.
So let's look at the actual ultimatum. Because this State Department draft letter, it changes everything.
It really does. It is essentially saying you can't have it both ways.
Let's look at the quotes from the Reuters leak. This is addressed to those 35 countries that signed the U.S. AI Opportunity Statement.
The wording is just incredible. It's so blunt.
Yeah, they write, quote, "To be part of everything is to be part of nothing."
I mean, wow. You don't usually see that kind of existential philosophy in a State Department memo.
No. It sounds like a breakup text.
It really does. To be part of everything is to be part of nothing. They are demanding absolute exclusivity.
And they go on to say that signing the Pax Silica Declaration is, quote, not merely a membership subscription, but a commitment.
So a symbolic signature is no longer enough.
Right. They state clearly that membership cannot be held alongside. And this is a key phrase, membership in duplicative initiatives whose expectations conflict with our own.
Duplicative initiatives.
Yeah. And they finish by urging these countries to choose deliberately.
Choose deliberately. In diplomatic speak, that is a threat.
Oh, 100%. It means pick a side now or face the consequences.
But you know what's really interesting about this draft?
What's that?
The draft letter never specifically mentions China. Not once.
Wait, really? The whole thing is clearly about China's initiative.
Exactly. But they don't name them.
Why rely on subtext? I mean, if you're drawing a line in the sand, why not just point at the rival?
It's a very clever diplomatic strategy. If the U.S. explicitly writes, you must quit the Chinese initiative, it forces a very public confrontation.
Oh, I see. It backs the ally into a corner.
Right. It makes the U.S. look like a bully. And a country might reject the U.S. demand just to prove they're sovereign and save face.
So by keeping it vague, by saying duplicative initiatives,
They give the ally a geopolitical off-ramp.
right, they can just say, oh, we're just streamlining our international commitments.
Exactly. Everyone reading the letter knows it means China. But the abstraction makes it easier to swallow.
Though, if you ask the anonymous U.S. official quoted in the Reuters leak, they don't use any abstraction at all.
No, they just said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, this official plainly stated that you literally can't have it both ways.
Right. They questioned how any nation could be a trusted partner in the U.S. ecosystem while helping China advance a competing vision.
Because the ultimate U.S. goal here, as stated in the text, is a starvation strategy.
Yes. They want to starve China of the resources needed for sophisticated AI.
And that word, resources, is the perfect pivot.
Because we aren't just talking about data, are we?
No. When we talk about AI resources, most people picture, lines of code or software or server farms.
But we are actually talking about dirt.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I feel like we treat AI as this magic spell in the cloud.
Yeah, like it just exists in the air.
But it is actually heavy industry.
It is intensely physical.
It requires massive physical infrastructure. And whoever controls the critical minerals essentially controls the on switch for the entire AI revolution.
The whole software battle is totally bottlenecked by hardware.
Right. So remind us, what did Pax Silica explicitly aim to secure?
Supply chains for critical minerals.
Yes, because you cannot build an autonomous hacking system without the physical rocks required to process that data.
And we need to get into the weeds on why these specific minerals are so important.
Let's do it. We're talking about things like gallium and germanium. Right?
Yeah, and various rare earth metals, because when you run an AI model, it does billions of calculations per second.
Which generates heat.
A massive, ungodly amount of heat. Standard silicon microchips literally melt or lose their conductivity under that kind of thermal stress.
You can't just put a bigger fan on the server.
No, you need a fundamentally different atomic structure. You need gallium and germanium to build compound semiconductors.
Chips that can actually handle the power and the heat.
Exactly. Without the specific rocks, you cannot build the advanced graphics processing units, the GPUs that run AI.
So if you don't have the dirt, you don't have the chips. And if you don't have the chips, you don't have AI.
It stops dead.
And this is where the U.S. starvation strategy hits a very real, very scary historical wall.
Right, because China currently holds a near monopoly over critical minerals.
A near monopoly.
Yeah. While the U.S. spent the last few decades focusing on internet software, China was quietly cornering the global market on dirt.
And not just digging it out of the ground, right?
No, the extraction is only step one. The real bottleneck is the refinement.
Which is incredibly toxic and complex.
Highly toxic. You have to take a lump of rare earth ore and process it into a pure tech-grade metal. China completely dominates that pipeline.
And they aren't afraid to use that dominance as a weapon.
Not at all. The source text gives us a crucial bit of backstory here.
Right, the tariff war under U.S. President Donald Trump.
Yeah, launched last year. When that trade war heated up, China didn't just play nice.
They weaponized their mineral monopoly.
They absolutely did. They used it as a retaliatory weapon, restricting the exports of these critical elements.
Which is basically sending a message to Washington saying, hey, we can turn off your tech industry whenever we feel like it.
Right. It was a massive wake-up call.
And how did Trump react to that?
Well, according to the text, he reacted by significantly ramping up efforts to source these minerals domestically and from allies.
Because you can't be a tech superpower if your biggest rival controls your hardware supply.
Exactly, and that realization is the whole reason Pax Silica exists.
Right. The U.S. has to break China's monopoly by building an ironclad supply chain with its allies.
A closed loop, walled off from Beijing.
But, a walled garden only works if everybody inside actually locks the gate.
Right.
What happens when an ally has a ton of minerals, but they want to play both sides?
Then the whole U.S. strategy falls apart.
Which brings us to a real-world example from the sources. We have to talk about Kazakhstan.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Kazakhstan is the ultimate test case for this ultimatum.
They really are the dilemma here, because back in June, the U.S. was basically throwing a parade for Kazakhstan.
They heavily touted them as the first Central Asian country to join Pax Silica.
And Washington was thrilled, because Kazakhstan isn't just some small player.
No, they have significant reserves of the exact critical minerals we just talked about.
They are sitting on a gold mine for advanced tech. So getting them into the U.S. club was a huge win.
It was, but then came the plot twist.
Right. The detail that literally set off alarm bells in Washington.
Yeah, barely a month later, Kazakhstan joined China's World AI Cooperation Organization.
So they're currently the only country known to have joined both the U.S. initiative and China's initiative.
They joined the American Walled Garden and then immediately walked over and joined the Chinese Open Weight Club.
It's incredible. And to understand why Washington panicked, we have to look at the broader context of who else is in Pax Silica.
Right. There are about 24 countries in the U.S. initiative.
Places like Japan, Australia, South Korea.
And those are extremely close U.S. allies.
Right. They rely on the U.S. military for their own defense. If Washington gives them an ultimatum on tech, they'll probably fall in line.
Because their security depends on it.
But Kazakhstan is in a totally different situation.
Completely different.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second here. Put yourself in Kazakhstan's shoes.
Okay.
You are sitting on a mountain of critical minerals.
The
whole world wants them.
Right.
Isn't it just good business to sell to both superpowers? I mean, why would you limit your buyers?
It is absolutely good business. And historically, that multi-vector foreign policy is how Kazakhstan survives.
So does Washington's aggressive pick-a-side strategy risk totally backfiring here?
It is a massive risk. You have to remember their geography. Kazakhstan shares a massive border with China.
Yeah, they're literally neighbors.
Neighbors and massive trading partners. So the U.S. is essentially demanding that a resource-rich, non-aligned nation anger a superpower right next door.
Just to get U.S. shared investment opportunities.
Right. It's an impossible tightrope walk for them.
If Washington pushes too hard, they might just alienate the very mineral supplier they desperately need.
Exactly. If Kazakhstan decides the U.S. ultimatum is too risky and chooses China, Washington loses the dirt.
And without the dirt, the starvation strategy completely fails.
Yep.
So we've talked a lot about the high-level geopolitics, the diplomacy, the rocks in the ground.
The big picture stuff.
Yeah. But let's shift gears and think about you, the listener sitting at home right now.
So what does this all actually mean for the average person?
Right. Because this high-level tug-of-war is going to impact your daily life.
Absolutely.
The smartphone in your hand, the software you use at work every day, the AI assistants we are all going to rely on in the future.
They are all caught directly in the middle of this supply chain war.
If the US and China actually succeed in forcing the world into two totally distinct tech ecosystems.
It completely changes how global innovation happens.
Because right now, tech is globalized, right?
Yeah, we have a global pool of engineering talent, shared data sets, global hardware pipelines.
But this ultimatum is trying to slice that right down the middle.
This raises an important question, actually. Can global technology realistically be split down the middle like that?
I mean, that is the ideological clash in the sources, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have the U.S. pushing a shared vision of trust and exclusivity.
A closed loop.
Right. Versus China promoting an open weight framework to get the rest of the world on board.
Even though China is simultaneously restricting access to its top models for their own national security.
Right. It's two fundamentally incompatible visions of how the future should be built.
And if you force a wall down the middle of it, everything gets more expensive, slower, and way more complicated.
It's a literal bifurcation of human progress.
It really is. So let's quickly recap the journey we've taken today, because we covered a lot of ground.
A ton of ground.
We started with the two competing AI frameworks, Pax Silica and the Chinese initiative.
We looked at the leaked U.S. ultimatum demanding absolute loyalty.
You can't have it both ways, as they said.
Right. Then we dug into the critical minerals, the actual dirt at the center of the fight.
And finally, we examined how countries like Kazakhstan are just totally trapped in the middle of this zero-sum game.
It is a precarious situation for everyone involved.
It is. But I know you have a final thought on this that pushes into some new territory based on the sources.
Yeah, I want to leave everyone with a lingering thought here.
Let's hear it.
So, the sources explicitly note that AI is growing exponentially, right?
Right.
Gaining these terrifying new powers, like autonomous hacking.
The ability to find flaws in attack systems totally on its own.
Exactly. Now think about what happens if the U.S. ultimatum actually succeeds.
Okay.
If they force the world to build two entirely separate, isolated AI ecosystems.
One led by the U.S., one by China.
Right. Starved of shared resources, completely starved of communication between the scientists on either side.
A total wall.
Do we actually make the world safer by doing that? Or does building two blind, fiercely competing superintelligences in an atmosphere of ultimate geopolitical distrust.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't that just guarantee the very worst case scenarios we're trying to avoid?
That is a terrifying prospect. Building two alienated superbrains that know how to hack autonomously, and they aren't talking to each other at all.
Exactly. The margin for error just vanishes.
That is definitely something to mull over. Well, thank you all for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a fascinating one.
Make sure you keep questioning the forces shaping the technology you use every single day. We will see you next time.